Commanders hire Dan Quinn to match with their new general manager, Adam Peters, to lead this franchise into the future.
The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the blues to blues, we cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So just had a chance to finish watching the film with the mob. It was very enlightening. Good to see a lot of the players performing the way that they did in that game. Hopefully there's carryover effect moving forward the rest of the way down the stretch. I wanted to really focus in on the offensive line in particular. Wanted to see what was going on defensively. There were open receivers for the Titans. What was going on with the pass rush? We blitzed quite a bit. Why weren't we getting home? These were things that I was really interested in watching. A lot of it I had already kind of seen on the TV copy, watching it live. So it was just confirmation. It was more about the offensive line. That's the thing that you don't really focus in on when you're watching it live on the TV copy. You're not really watching the offensive line. You're not seeing what's going on the back end and the secondary. You're not seeing route combinations offensively, who was open down the field, what was JD looking at, that sort of thing. That's where the all-22s really come into play. But there were no real big surprises on the film. And I will say this. I was very pleased with the offensive line. It was one of their best showings in quite some time. I won't go as far as to say it was their best game of the season, but statistically, I think you can make a case for it being their best game of the season. I don't think we ran for 267 yards in any other game this season. I can't recall a game in which we had a 100-yard rusher, almost had another 100-yard rusher, and then, had other guys chime in with their little 35, 40 yards in McNichols and JD. So right now, I would say it was probably the best performance of the season by the offensive line. Protection-wise, they were pretty stout. Obviously, there were, 2 sacks, I believe, given up. Then another one, I think he might have run out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage, something he needs to clean up. The interception he threw to Zach Ertz, look, it was a high ball. But I love the decision first and foremost. And that's a ball that I would like to see Zach Ertz catch. But was it high? Yes, it was high. It was very high. But it's a ball that I think he could catch, personally. Watching it back, Jaden Daniels should have had 5 touchdown passes in this game. And it didn't register at the time, but watching it back, it immediately clicked for me because of where we were in the timeline in the game. I immediately realized that miss to Noah Brown, where he hits Noah Brown on that rail route up the sideline where he's open, and it's probably a walk-in touchdown if he hits him in stride up the sideline. We didn't score in that possession. Zane Gonzalez missed the field goal. Jaden took a pretty bad sack at the end of that possession. Then Cosme had a false start, and it backed us up pretty good. And we ran a draw on 3rd down, and just simple give-up handoff to try to get a little bit more yards for field goal, purposes. And Gonzalez missed the field goal. It ended up being like 47, 48 yards. He missed. And that was a missed opportunity altogether. That should have been a touchdown pass. He should have had 4 touchdown passes there. Then you recall the Terry throw late in the game. He's rolling to his left, throws across his body. Terry has to go down and dig it out. Gets up, gets another yard or 2. But if he hits Terry in stride, Terry probably races to that far left pylon, dives, probably gets in, touchdown. And or he just, is able to race to that pylon, doesn't have to dive, and just wins a foot race against a linebacker. I think it might have been a safety. Either way, Terry wins that foot race, and it's probably a 5th touchdown passing in the game. So Jaden left some meat on the bone. I don't hate that throw to Terry, but first and foremost. The one to Noah is an absolute gotta have it throw. There was no pressure. You got the look you wanted. He's wide open. You lead him up the sideline. It's a walk-in touchdown. Can't miss that one, especially knowing what we know now, that we ultimately ended up missing the field goal. Should never even been put in that position, right? got to make that throw. And we saw Jaden on the TV copy hitting his chest like, yo, my bad. And he was smiling. You can smile when you're up 28 to, I think the score at that time was 28-0. You can smile and hit your chest when it's 28-0. It's okay. But had it been 7-0, that's a problem, right? We need that. The one to Terry, where he's rolling to his left, I don't have any issues with that. That's a tough throw. You're rolling to your left. He doesn't get to really square his shoulders or his body. He kind of jumps and turns at the same time as he's throwing the ball because he's under duress. He sees a wide open Terry, just tries to get it in his general vicinity, and that he does, and Terry does a great job of making him right. I'm not upset at that throw. Would I like him to make a better throw? Sure, but at the end of the day, just get it in his vicinity. He did, and Terry did the rest. So I'm just only bringing those things up because that could have been an historic game for a rookie quarterback. I don't know if a rookie quarterback has ever thrown 5 touchdown passes in a game. He had a shot to do it, right? I think Caleb Williams against the Jaguars had a chance to throw for 5 passing touchdowns. He threw for 4, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. I don't know if a rookie, I'm pretty sure in the NFL's history, a rookie has thrown for 5 touchdown passes in a game. Has a rookie ever accounted for 6? Because he also had the rushing touchdown. Has a rookie ever accounted for 6 touchdowns in a game? We had a chance to see it, and Jaden missed a couple of opportunities. So that was something that stood out. But going back to the offensive line, they were tremendous in this game. Brandon Coleman had a lot more one-on-one situations that he won. He's still getting pushed back a little bit more than I would like in certain bull rush situations. But I didn't see anybody blow. And again, we didn't see Harold Landry lined up across from him very often. Landry stayed on that right side for the most part exclusively. So I wanted to see that matchup because that's the thing that's really been hurting Coleman is pure speed off the edge. Guys that can duck and bend and turn that corner with pure speed. That's what's been giving him problems. Alex Highsmith gave him fits. I think it was one more game where guys were running right by him. But for the most part, he didn't have that issue in this game. He did a really good job in the run game. I think that's where he excels, which is why I've advocated for him to be kicked down into guard. But again, whose spot is he going to take? Allegretti is entrenched at left guard. Biotis is playing at a Pro Bowl level at center. So is Sam Cosmi at right guard. So where are you going to put him, right? Somebody asked me during the mob, I want to say it was GT7. Shout out to GT7. Shout out to the mob for holding the kid down. Shout out to all my Patreon supporters, but the mob was with me watching that film. Really appreciate you guys. GT7, I think it was GT7. It might have been somebody else. So it was somebody else. It wasn't GT7. Somebody else asked. I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been C-Trill. Somebody asked me, did I think that Brandon Coleman was the left tackle of the future or not? And I don't think he is right now. But I will say this, he is getting better. And maybe reps and more opportunities to be out there will help him, which we all know, the more repetitions you get, the better you get. I just think there's limitations to his game as a tackle. But I think much like Sam Cosmi, he can be unlocked and unleashed as a guard. However, I will say this, and I said this during the mob stream, I don't think they're going to do anything at tackle, particularly to upgrade the position this offseason. And what I mean by that is a lot of you expect them to draft a tackle relatively early, sign one in free agency, whatever the case may be, and look to upgrade that position with a young player more likely than not. I don't think they're going to put a rookie out there. Right? They did it with Coleman, and it took them a long time to get to that point. I think they're going to give Coleman this full offseason. Remember, he missed a lot of the offseason with an injury this year, so he did not participate in a lot of the preseason and things of that nature in camp. And so I think they're going to give him a full offseason to get acclimated to left tackle and really show that he can do it. I don't think he's going to have competition going into camp. I think Wiley, if I'm not mistaken, came here on a 3-year deal, and this is year 2 of the 3-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. Because he came with Eric Bieniemy, right? So Wiley signed a 3-year deal. I don't think they're going to cut Wiley. I think Wiley's your starting right tackle next year. I think they bring Cornelius Lucas back. I would. Will they draft a tackle? Sure, there's a possibility. Will it be a high-level tackle? No, I don't think so. I think it's a 3rd-round tackle. It's a 4th-round tackle, right? Do we even have a 4th-round pick at this point? Don't think so. But it's somewhere in that neighborhood, right? I don't think you're drafting a 1st or 2nd-round tackle. I think you're more likely to see a 1st or 2nd-round wide receiver or corner or something of that ilk. But I could be wrong. But I just said all that to say this. Whatever they do, if you draft a tackle, he ain't starting over Coleman, because I think they're going to give him every opportunity to start at left tackle. And he ain't starting over Andrew Wiley. So understand that the likelihood of us upgrading the tackle position, and you don't need to do anything else at the interior positions. Allegretti, Cosme, and Biadasz have been outstanding this year. So you're not going to do anything there. So I don't know if there's going to be a big upgrade on the offensive line. I'm just telling you that. That's how I'm feeling right now. But again, time will tell, and we will see. But they all played well. Cornelius Lucas was really good in this game. The entire offensive line was just stellar, man. They really were, especially in the run game. They were exceptional at getting to the 2nd level. The double teams were splendiferous. They were getting off that double team, climbing to the 2nd level, getting to that linebacker, getting to that safety. The kick-out blocks were phenomenal. The receivers were blocking their asses off, and that's how you get those big runs. The tight ends were excellent. John Bates got away with a hold on the 40-yard touchdown on the 3rd play of the game. But it was really good to see the offensive line play the way that they did. Conversely, the defensive line, I didn't think got enough pressure on Will Levis. We blitzed a ton in this game, a ton, and still didn't get home enough for my liking. My biggest gripe in this game was the zone coverage. We weren't connected. We weren't running with guys in zone. We let guys run through the zone unabated. And we gave up too many big completions on 3rd downs. Like, that's not who we've been in a long time, right? Like this season, let's just stick to this season. That's not who we've been, right? In past years under Jack Del Rio and Greg Minuski, going back a little ways, we were constantly giving up 3rd and 14s, 3rd and 17s, hell, even 3rd and 20s. Like, we don't do that shit anymore. You know, it's hard to even convert a 3rd and 8 on us, let alone a 3rd and, 21, which we gave up in the game against the Titans. We gave up a 3rd and 21. We gave up a 3rd and 12. We gave up 2 3rds and 7s. We gave up a 3rd and 8. Like, that shit isn't okay. I'm not accustomed to us doing that. And that doesn't need to be something that it becomes a trend moving forward. And again, I'm hoping, I'm praying that Marshawn Lattimore cleans a lot of that stuff up. So that was one of my things that I was disappointed with. We blitzed a ton in this game. I think it might have been a byproduct of us thinking that the Titans' offensive line wasn't great, which it isn't. Somehow, no matter what kind of offensive line you have, we don't take advantage of it. Everybody else does. Coming into the game, Will Levis was probably the most sacked quarterback in the last 3 weeks. He was sacked, I think, 6 times versus the Chargers, 7 times versus the Vikings, and then like 8 times versus the Texans the week prior. And somehow we managed to sack him, 2-3 times max, if that. I just don't understand why we can't get more pressure. It's frustrating. But I do understand it from this standpoint. We don't have an elite rusher, right? All those teams that I just mentioned have one guy that can get after the quarterback, that you can trust that's going to win. We don't have that guy that you just say, hey, you got a matchup. We're going to make sure you get one-on-one. Go win that matchup. We don't have that guy. So it's frustrating when we blitz. You want to see somebody come free, apply pressure, and that's just not what's happening consistently enough for my liking. But the defense was fine. Could have given up a lot more points, could have given up a lot more opportunities. I thought we should have picked Will Levis off at least once. A lot of balls tipped off of receivers' hands, had opportunities. We just weren't in the right spots. But all in all, the run game for the Titans was taken out of the game because of the quick start. And I love the fact that we were able to take full advantage of the opportunities that were presented to us. 3 touchdowns on the first 3 possessions. The Titans really helped us with the 4th touchdown with the penalties that they had on 3rd downs that extended the drive. But ultimately, we executed. We executed at a high level, and that's something that we need to see moving forward if we are to maximize the remaining schedule that's left for the Commanders this season. So really pleased with what I saw, and I'm hoping that that's a springboard for the finish to the season for the Commanders. If so, we're in for a treat in December into January, and this is going to be a great finish to the season, and we're going to enjoy it thoroughly. In other news, a few topics I want to knock down. First question I have for you is, who are Pro Bowl players on this Commanders roster, in your humble opinion? I read an article on the team website suggesting that the Commanders had 7, potential Pro Bowl candidates. I don't think the number's that high. I think the number is somewhere around 4 or 5. On the team website, I think the number was 7, and this was the 7, I think. Jaden Daniels, Sam Cosmi, Terry McLaurin, Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, Dante Fowler Jr. I think I'm missing somebody. I don't remember who the other. Brian Robinson Jr. That was the last person. Brian Robinson Jr. was the case that they tried to make. For me, Jaden is definitely a Pro Bowler in the NFC. Terry should definitely be a Pro Bowler from what he's done this season. But, of course, there's still CeeDee Lamb, there's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then there's Justin Jefferson. So will he be a part of the mix? I think he should be in there. And generally, if you're good and you make the playoffs, they reward you. A team like Dallas that stinks, I think they should be pushed back a bit, and they shouldn't be elevated, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown plays on the best team in the conference. Justin Jefferson plays on the second best team record-wise in the conference. And we're going to be a playoff team. Hopefully, as of right now, we are. We should be rewarded, right? We should be the team with 5 or 6 Pro Bowlers, not Dallas, for being, 5-12 or whatever they're going to finish this season as. So Terry should be 1. So that's 2. I think Sam Cosmi should be a Pro Bowler, and I think he will be a Pro Bowler. That's 3. Frankie Louvu should be a Pro Bowler, and I think he should be an All-Pro player. Forget about Pro Bowl. He should be an All-Pro player. That's 4. I don't know if I would advocate for any of the other 3. Dante Fowler Jr. has been really good. I don't know if he's a Pro Bowl player, but sacks catch people's attention. And he has 8.5 of them. I thought, watching film, I thought he had 2 more sacks in the game. I guess they didn't call them sacks, but they should have scored at least one of them. The fumbled snap that he touched down Will Levis, that should be counted as a sack. So the other one looked like a design run, and he slammed him down. I guess they call that a run, fine. But the other one should have been a sack, and it should have been 9.5 on the season. But whatever. He's going to hit double digits. Is Dante Fowler Jr. And so I get that. Bobby Wagner's been good. I don't think he's been Pro Bowl worthy, right? But I don't know what else is happening in the conference at the inside linebacker position. Maybe, they're only I think Zach Bond is considered an inside backer, right? I think. If that's the case, then obviously he's one. I don't know what other inside linebackers are doing in the NFC. So, I mean, if there aren't many of those available playing well, then I guess Bobby Wagner. But for me, those are the core 4. Jaden, Terry, Cosmi, Louvu, those are the 4 that right now I see as Pro Bowlers. Had Brian Robinson Jr. not gotten hurt, I think he could have been in that mix. But you look at what the Lions' 2 running backs are doing. You look at what Josh Jacobs is doing. You look at what Saquon's doing. How can Brian Robinson even be in that discussion? I don't even think he scratches the surface there. Just off the strength of those three backs, and I'm pretty sure we can go through the conference and probably pick two or three more backs that probably are more deserving than Brian Robinson Jr. at this point because of all of the time he's missed this season. But he's not getting in over those three. So that ends that discussion right there. So, or four, if you count both Lions backs. But just Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley, that's your three Pro Bowl running backs in the NFC, if you ask me. So anyhow, I digress there. So what do you think? Who do you think should be Pro Bowl players? Who do you think should be in consideration? Did the team website get it right with the 7 guys that they proposed? I gave you 4. I think those are the only 4 that are truly deserving of Pro Bowl status this year. But you tell me what you think. Did I miss somebody? I think an honorable mention could be Mike Sainristil, but again, I don't know all of the corners in the NFC. I'm not, thinking about it, but he only has 1 interception. Like, I'm pretty sure there are guys that have 3 and 4 and 5 interceptions and are playing, stellar at the cornerback position. He's playing well. I think you could mention him in that conversation if you'd like. But I don't think he's getting in, the Pro Bowl or anything like that. So next question, is Kliff Kingsbury a real head coaching commodity this offseason? I remember telling you guys, first and foremost, that I felt like he'd be here for 2 years and then he'd get that itch. He may have that itch already, right? I don't know if he's going to have that Ben Johnson type of vibe where he's like, yeah, no, I'm not ready to leave yet. I want to stay here, kind of finish what I started. He's been a head coach before, so that's all he's known here of late was being a head coach, whether it's Texas Tech or Arizona. So to be here in a coordinator role, he's learned a lot from DQ, and he may be ready to put some of that to action. His phone's going to ring. Make no mistake about it. This is the era of the young quarterback, and teams that are going to fire their head coaches or already fired their coaches, maybe looking to add a young quarterback. Chicago already has an opening. Guess what? Kliff Kingsbury was with Caleb Williams at USC. Don't think for one second that's lost on them. They did bring him in for an interview. I think it was a sham interview. Really, it was more to just get information on Caleb Williams. I don't think it was ever an opportunity for him to become the offensive coordinator, but that's nor here nor there. Now there's an opening at head coach, and I think you'd be remiss if you thought that Kliff Kingsbury won't be on a short list of offensive-minded guys that teams are impressed with, especially if this season finishes up strong for him and that Kliff thing goes away. You'd be remiss if you think that a team with a young quarterback isn't looking for an offensive play caller like Kliff Kingsbury. And when I say that, Kliff is going to be your head coach, but he's also going to call plays because that's what he enjoys doing. Similar to Sean McVay, right? I'm the head coach, but I really enjoy calling plays. So could we lose Kliff Kingsbury? I don't know, man. It'd be a sad state of affairs if that happened. The one thing I can say, though, is that we've built a staff that is going to be capable of insulating the position of quarterback by promoting from within. We won't have to go looking for a new coordinator, a new play caller. Jaden won't have to learn all new verbiage. He won't have to learn a whole new scheme. There may be different concepts and principles, and there may be some changes, but for the most part, they're in a position with the staff that they've put together that I think they are going to be very comfortable with somebody else stepping in and assuming the role of play caller, whether that's Brian Johnson, Tavita Pritchard, whomever, right? We had a bunch of guys that could step in, theoretically speaking, that you think would be, again, Tavita's never called plays as far as I'm concerned, right? Always been a quarterback's coach. So I don't know what that would look like. Brian Johnson called plays. Obviously, it didn't go well, but I think Nick Sirianni had a huge hand in that. So all I know is, Anthony Lynn is here as a running backs coach. We know he's a little bit more on the run side. He's a little bit more heavy on the run side, but a bunch of guys that are more than capable of stepping in and assuming the role of offensive coordinator should we have a void there left by Kliff Kingsbury should he pursue a head coaching gig. I still am of the mindset that Kliff is going to be here for 2 years. So I'm still of the mindset that Kliff isn't going anywhere after this season. Even if teams come calling, I still think Kliff is going to be here one more year. And then after the 2025 season, you're going to have to find yourself a new offensive coordinator because Kliff Kingsbury is going to take a head coaching job. But I think if there's one job that really would intrigue him, it's the one in Chicago. I think he loves and adores Caleb Williams, thinks the world of him, and I think he would love nothing more than to coach him at the pro level. So I think of all the jobs, that's the one that probably intrigues him the most. If that one were to be offered to him, I find it hard to believe that he'd turn it down. But I think the other jobs, I don't know if he'd be willing to leave here in the situation that he's in currently to go be in a job that might not be advantageous for his future. I think he's going to stay here if it's not Chicago. If it's Chicago, I think he's gone. I personally believe that. And the Bears have already said they think they got the best job in the league. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, being that you're going to get Caleb Williams at quarterback. You got a really solid defense and a bunch of pieces there to play around with. Good targets for Caleb to get the football to. It's a really attractive job. It really is. Despite the dysfunction that we've seen out of Chicago, it's an attractive job. And I think you're going to have every coach that is a prospective head coach wanting that job, including maybe even Ben Johnson. Who knows, right? So with that said, if Kliff isn't in that running, I think he's back in Washington. What says you? Leave it down in the comment section. I'm curious. And then last thing up, I know you guys watched Thursday Night Football or at least checked the box score after the game was over. You woke up this morning and you saw who won the game. The Lions did us a huge solid last night. If you're interested in getting out of the 7 seed, they need to lose some football games. And they were very close to winning last night, but the Lions took care of business, won that game 34-31. The Packers are now 9-4, just a game ahead of the Commanders in the standings. However, let's see. Two of our 5 losses have come against AFC opponents, the Ravens and the Steelers. The other 3 have come against NFC opponents, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Philadelphia. For the Packers, they've lost 4 games. I want to say all 4 of them are against NFC opponents. We did not play the Packers, obviously, so there is no head-to-head. So then you would go to the tiebreakers. Usually the first tiebreaker is games against common opponents, but because we don't play a ton of common opponents, I think the first real tiebreaker is going to be conference record. And if I'm not mistaken, they've been swept by Detroit. They lost to Minnesota, so that's 3 of their 4 losses. And I'm trying to think of and Eagles, right, in week 1. So all 4 of their losses are to NFC opponents. So that benefits us because right now, technically, we have a better conference record from a win-loss perspective if the season were to finish out the way it is now. But that means we would have to take care of Atlanta and New Orleans and Philadelphia and Dallas because all of our remaining opponents are all conference opponents. So, and pretty much the same could be said for Green Bay. They got Seattle, they got the Saints, they got the Bears and the Vikings. So all of their games are against NFC opponents as well. But ultimately, none of this matters if we don't take care of business. I'm not big on looking down the road anymore. Did that earlier, got bit by it. Not doing it again. So my focus is on New Orleans because what they just did doesn't matter if we don't take care of business. They got the Seahawks next week on Sunday Night Football. Cool, right? That's a game that they should win. But guess what? Doesn't make us one bit of difference if we don't take care of New Orleans. So the biggest thing that we have to do is take care of our business and everything will take care of itself. If we're supposed to be the 6th seed, then keep winning and we'll end up being the 6th seed. If we're supposed to be the 7th seed, just keep winning. And if they keep winning, then we'll be the 7th seed. Whatever happens, I just want in the postseason, right? I prefer the 6th seed, but just keep winning. That's all we can control. We can't control what Green Bay does. We can control what we do. We take care of business, and we'll be just fine. So we did catch a break, though. Lions took care of business, and now the Packers are just one game ahead of the Commanders in the 6th hole in the NFC playoffs. But that is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News. Hope you enjoy this weekend. Hope this Friday is treating you well. But more importantly, enjoy this bye week. Just like the team's getting a physical and mental break and a refresh, you do the same. Enjoy the football. If you don't want to watch any football, get away from it. Whatever. Clear the deck. Because this is going to be a hell of a finish to the season. And you're going to need all of your mental faculties in order, right? This season at times has been mentally draining, right? The loss to Dallas, mentally draining. The loss to Pittsburgh, mentally draining, right? Recharge the battery. Recharge the battery this December. We're hoping to make it one to remember. Recharge the battery. Enjoy this bye week. I most certainly will. I hope you do the same. We'll reconvene on Monday for most of you. For the rest of you, I'll see you on Sunday night. Got a good one. Chiefs, Chargers. We'll be here to talk about it, right? For the rest of you, I'll see you on Monday. We'll start this thing back up. We'll hear from DQ. Hopefully get some updates on guys like Noah Brown and Marshawn Lattimore and Andrew Wiley and Quan Martin and anybody else that's been dealing with anything. Hopefully we'll get updates, positive ones on all of them, and we'll get ready to hit the ground running for the stretch run of the season. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the bye week. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Take care.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.